Hello and welcome to another episode of Authentically You, a web series for real people who really like real people. Before we get started today, if you have been tuning in, first of all, welcome back. We're glad to have you back. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Just welcome. Um, we're glad you're here and we're glad that you show an interest in wanting to learn more about people out there living their own authentic lives. And if you will give this video a like and the channel a subscribe, just so that you can be in tune with what we're doing out here. And show us that you value continuing to share stories of real people, real life, and real goodness. And that's kind of what we do. So if you don't know, I am Anna, the Black Pants Girl, because legit, that's the only color pants I wear. No lie. You can tell which my laundry is in the house. I'm just saying. Tonight, I'm actually going to be introducing you to another amazing person living their own truth. So let's connect as I introduce you to tonight's guest, Kathryn Frady. Hello, Kathryn.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you. Now, before we jump into exactly why I know you, how I know you, and all those good things, and why I admire you so greatly, I just want to let you know that as a Facebook friend, follower, fan, I enjoy you sharing all of your triumphs and journeys with the rest of us because it's truly inspiring to see a woman out there doing her passion and finding ways to do it the way that basically excites her. And that's huge for me. You know what I mean? So I just want to thank you for sharing with us because you don't have to do that. You could keep it all to yourself and say you can pay for it, which you should, but that's another thing.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah. So where does the story of Kathryn begin? Where are you from originally?
I am originally from Houston, Texas. I am
Big
definitely a Texas
Texas.
girl.
Gotcha.
I grew up mostly in Dallas. We had about 2 years when I did kindergarten and first grade in Virginia.
Oh,
And
wow.
we went right back to Texas. And I basically lived in Texas until 2011 when I moved to Knoxville.
Wow.
My mother is English,
Hmm.
so that whole side of my family lives in England.
Oh, that's awesome.
Besides her sister, yeah,
Yeah.
her sister, my aunt lives in Canada. But I think because my grandparents, came to visit us, even though I was very rooted that I was from Texas,
Right.
like it wasn't until just really a few years ago when I was like, no, actually, I'm half British, and
You are.
I got citizenship in England, and I
Wow.
was like, no, I'm like, I always kind of wondered when I visited England, like why I felt such a connection to the country, and I was like, because you're half English.
Exactly. You are. And that is something to really be thankful for. I honestly believe my father's from Germany and migrated here when he was 19. And so growing up, I used to be like, well, my mom's 25% British, so I'm proud of that and because you rebel a little. But
Yeah,
now I'm extremely proud that I'm half German.
that's so
um,
cool.
I understand more than I speak, so that's another topic for another day. So you're from Big D.
Yes.
My, oh yes. Okay. So question for you is, if you came from Texas to Knoxville, was that a bit of a culture shock?
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I had traveled a little bit because I was stage managing. I went to school at North Texas in
Hmm.
Denton, so I was, very much in Texas until I graduated. But I had done some work at some theaters in like Wichita, Kansas, and Toledo, Ohio. Really exciting places, and and Knoxville. I had actually worked at Knoxville Opera before I got
Mm-hmm.
married to James and moved here. So
Yeah.
I had experienced it a little bit before we actually took the plunge and moved to Knoxville, but
Right.
definitely a culture shock. I just,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh no,
definitely.
I moved to Knoxville from from Center City, Philly,
Oh,
and
yes.
I'll tell you, I don't miss the city wage tax, the state tax. I don't miss any of those things. But when I came here, I moved here probably 19 years ago, and I said, "Do we have ethnic restaurants? Like any? Is there mom and pop? Where's? I don't understand what is happening." Um, it's changed a lot since then, which is a blessing. And you're one of the reasons it's progressing so much as a cultural artistic community. So I know basically why I am enamored with you. But if for those who are just tuning in, why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, I am an opera singer. Recently, I've been calling myself a portfolio artist because besides singing opera, I also produce opera
Hmm.
with a company here in town that I founded in 2013 called Marble City Opera.
Yes, ma'am.
But I also am a stage director. I teach voice lessons. And during this last 6 months, I've been learning all sorts of things how to do.
Yep, yep.
But so I've been adapting the term portfolio artist. But the main thing I do in Knoxville is run Marble City Opera.
That's awesome. So she has Marble City Opera, which is a its own basically its own production company at this point, and it has been for how many years now?
This we're going into our eighth season.
Eighth
So
season. Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible. Um, in Knoxville. Now, anybody who has never been to Knoxville, let me just paint a picture for you. Knoxville is a small city, big town. That's how I liken it because it's not honestly, people are like, "Oh, you live in the city of Knoxville." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah.
Not really a
It's
city, but yeah.
you know." I was like, I feel like you have to have more public transportation options to be a city, but um, regardless, I love it. It's a cute little place, and there have been up until Marble City, there has been just Knoxville Opera, which handles some of the heavy hitter operas, which is the big ones that everybody's heard of or has been familiar with. And you make the decision that you're going to actually do this here in Knoxville, which kudos to you on that. Two, you're going to expose Knoxville to more accessible opera is what I'm calling it, because to be honest, up until I dated an opera singer, I had zero interest in opera. No offense to opera.
None
I
taken.
just, because you think it's so far above you and you're not going to understand it because it's always in a different language and all this other stuff. So you have all these preconceived notions going into it. And then I meet you and you're out there shattering the whole you're shattering all of these misconceptions and preconceived ideas and going, oh no, no, let me show you what we've got. And I love that because it has enhanced my life greatly. And um you know where how do I even when you were growing up, was there an aha moment in your life that you all of a sudden decided this is what you want to do with your life, or has it been most of a journey for you?
It's definitely been a journey because
Okay.
I always loved singing. I
Hmm.
always loved music. I like to say that I came out of the womb singing and dancing. Um,
Good.
just love being creative in that way and expressing myself through music and art and dance. And I think my dad was a Shakespearean actor
Oh wow.
before he became a father,
Hmm.
and he gave up acting. But I think that was all just like in my genes a
Hmm.
little bit.
Yeah.
Um, But so I wanted to do some acting when I was young and that kind of, but because I sang, I really loved musical theater. I
Hmm.
used to watch every Broadway show I could get my hands on.
Yeah, sure.
um, and then I started taking piano lessons. I wanted to play the flute when I went to middle school.
Yeah.
Texas is a big music, like really into music education.
Hmm.
So we got to choose band, choir, or
Oh, wow.
orchestra, and I chose band.
Hmm.
I played the flute. Um, and then, in high school, I also got to join the orchestra with the flute playing, and I did some
Nice.
theater stuff, and I joined the choir for a little while, and I was just really trying, doing everything I could.
Yeah.
I tossed flags and rifles, and became a color guard instructor for a
Awesome.
while.
All of these things are great.
you know,
I'm an ex-rifle captain myself, so I
I
get it.
mean, it's
Yeah.
a really good time. So and then when I went to college, I actually went on a flute scholarship.
Oh, wow. I
I,
didn't even know you were a flautist. I had no idea.
that's really where I started, yeah, as a flautist. So I went to music school on a flute scholarship. I'd sung in church
Hmm.
and stuff like that, and so I wanted to take voice lessons.
Hmm.
And the voice teacher I started at the University of Mary Harlan Baylor, which is a small private school near. It's like 30 minutes south, I guess, of Baylor.
Okay.
And there was a voice teacher there who had some openings in her studio, and so I signed up. And then by the next semester, I was also a voice major.
Wow. So that's awesome. So did that relationship kind of push you in that direction, or did you
Definitely.
feel like you had finally kind of come home to another part of yourself?
Well, I think I felt a little of both, like
Mhm.
I came home to a part of myself because I mean, singing was really,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed playing the flute and I loved marching band
Mhm.
and orchestra, but singing, it's like so much a part of who you are as a person, like I was
Mhm.
just saying earlier this week, like I'm a singer. Like, yes, I do
Right.
all these things,
Right.
but in my soul, I'm a singer.
Mhm.
And so it did, I think, it was like coming home and that, but it was also pushing me into the kind of singing that I didn't even know really existed at that point in time.
Sure.
Because they really want to train you as a classical
Hmm.
singer. And, up until that point, I had sung, Sandy Patty covers and
Right. Sure.
Amy
Sure.
Grant covers and,
Right.
Broadway
Mhm.
tunes, so it
Yeah.
definitely opened up a whole new world of what I could even accomplish. Um,
Yeah. And
and
I
then I,
definitely think that as an opera singer and having listened to you perform, I, it's using your voice as its own instrument. I mean, it's what you do with it beyond just the words, which are great for pop tunes because I mean, you want to, everyone needs to be able to sing along to that. But it's to hear it elevated to a place where it's its own instrument. That's kind of nice.
oh,
So
cool.
um, so that's a very I would have thought that was your little aha moment, but you know signing up for those voice lessons was what really got you into that direction. Now, did you go in there thinking you were just going to become a better just overall singer and not be like, oh well, now opera, this is an option for me?
Yeah, definitely. I just thought I was going to become like a better singer. Like
Right.
I was still like really more into musical theater
Hmm.
as an option, but I was still double majoring in flute.
Hmm.
So I've always been the kind of person who, when a door opens, I go through it,
As you should.
and I just follow that pathway. And sometimes it's a weird path. But yeah, I ended up transferring schools. And ended up at North Texas,
Oh,
where
wow.
I actually auditioned in both flute and voice on the same day
Oh my
in different
goodness.
outfits.
What? I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
And got two different acceptance letters from the university,
Wow.
accepting me in flute performance and voice performance. And so I accepted both and
Wow.
kind of was like undercover, the whole time, because at North Texas, they really don't want you to double major. I mean, it's
Okay.
it's a big school. They want you to
Mhm.
choose one and do one. And I think it was sort of an accident that they let me in into both programs. So my first voice teacher at North Texas saw me with my flute, and she said, "Wait a minute,
Uh-oh.
are you playing, like, what is this all about?" And I told her, and she was like, "Okay, well, that's okay, but do not let anybody know." She was, I mean, that was like,
So you're living a double life at North Texas, being like, gosh, it's like kind of makes you want to get a wig and a whole different wardrobe because
you know,
then
I thought about it even for opera, you know, like as the dark hair becoming a mezzo, you know,
yeah,
and being like Caterina Mavaroso, you know, and
absolutely.
then like have a blonde wig for my Kathryn Frady soprano.
Yeah.
I
I think
mean,
that's awesome. So basically she said she said on the date on the down low, just don't tell anybody you're doing this.
yes.
Wow. So when you graduated, did you graduate with two that's okay.
And then, yeah, so
That was
another door. So
yes. Right.
I was in a really unfortunate relationship when I was
Those
in
happen.
and it was, and my flute teacher was um, also a bad relationship.
I get that too. Yeah.
Like, how do I say that nicely?
Yeah.
It wasn't a good fit for me,
Right.
and so, you know, doors were opening in the voice side of things. They let me sing. I think they gave me my first lead as
Oh wow.
Cendrillon in Cendrillon in the summer opera. And at that same time, my flute teacher was she was she just created an environment that made me very nervous, and so
Yeah.
I never reached my potential at North
Hmm.
Texas. I couldn't play under those conditions.
Sure.
In fact, we actually had we had music therapists like on staff, like psychologists for the
Hmm.
music school at North Texas, and they had to bring somebody into our studio, our flute studio, because like everyone was a total mess in there, and
Oh
we were just
wow.
like so stressed out, and we couldn't play, and the teacher had no idea that it was, you know, that she had something to do with that atmosphere that was happening there, but yeah, so they wanted me to repeat
Hmm.
um, my sophomore, I guess at the end of your sophomore year, you're supposed to do like a jury that allows you to move forward or not.
Okay.
And they had found out that I was singing, so this was coloring their point of view as well. And
Gotcha.
I didn't play well in my jury, and they wanted me to repeat it. And I had
Hmm.
already, you know, I'd already been at another school. I'd already transferred. I was already behind because they didn't accept all of my credits.
Ugh.
And the
Yep.
opera department was giving me leading roles, and so I was like, you know what, I can't do the flute, you know.
Yeah.
So
So life was pushing you in a direction which, like you said, when doors open, you go through it.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, whatever you're supposed to go through on that journey, good, bad, or indifferent, is going to teach you everything you need to know.
absolutely.
So having that fearlessness of being able to walk through that door and say, "Here I am. Now what?"
Yeah.
Is awesome, and kudos to you for that. Um, so other than the fact that so now you're in college, you've had your aha moment, you've been at the you've done all these other things, you're now getting roles and all this other stuff. What makes you take the leap from that to expanding your repertoire as how you you know, is it just a natural progression where you're just not a singer, you now expand your ideas to other options at this point?
Well, you know, I think there's a couple things. So then I started my master's degree, and
Hmm.
I decided, because of, you know, life things that were going on, to
Yeah.
stay at the University of North Texas. I finished my undergrad there in voice performance, and then applied for the master's program
Hmm.
and started that. Now in my master's degree, so in undergrad they were giving me good roles, and
Yeah.
when I got to my master's degree, they gave me something and everything, but it wasn't, you know, there wasn't ever the lead.
Right. Okay.
And but I wanted more experience, and I was taking a directing class as well with the
Hmm.
opera director there, and I really enjoyed that. And they always hired a singer to stage manage.
Oh.
Um, and so I was like, well, let me try stage managing.
Yeah.
And so I got into stage managing, and they brought in professionals from the industry to work with us. So we had a choreographer from Dallas Opera and a
Oh,
lighting designer
wow.
that I worked with from Fort Worth Opera, and they thought I was a good stage manager and gave my resume, or just like told, I think, Fort Worth Opera about me. And the
Wow.
next thing I knew, I got a phone call from Wichita Grand Opera saying,
Wow.
hey, can you come stage manage for us? And I was like, well, it was like during the school year. So I'm like,
Always like in the middle of everything, right?
in the
Yep.
middle of everything. But somehow I was able to make it work. And part of that was because I think, the faculty knew me really well at North Texas, since I had done my undergrad there as well.
Yeah.
And when I started getting these professional stage management gigs while I was doing at the end of my master's, and they were like, oh, it's okay. And my opera director, she actually took me to Amarillo Opera with her to be her assistant director and stage
Wow.
manage. And she created a special problems class for me so that I could like
That's
get the credits I
awesome.
needed for my student loans, but still be able to like be in school and not in school while I was doing these gigs. And
Right?
they really empowered me
Hmm.
to go out into the world and start making money professionally
Yeah.
as a stage manager, even while I was in school.
Yeah.
So
That's
it kind of,
huge.
yeah, it was huge. I
That is really
mean,
awesome.
it was awesome. And so that kind of led me into that direction.
Hmm.
I dabbled with the idea of getting a second master's degree in stage directing, and
Hmm.
did an interview with I can't even remember the name of the university now. That's terrible.
No, it's okay.
Eastman.
It
Eastman. They were
Eastman.
there.
Okay.
And he was the director there when I interviewed. He was like, well, you're already working. Why do you want to come to school? You already have a master's, like a lot of the degrees. So he was kind of like, you don't really want to do this. Um,
You're like, okay, I guess I don't.
I was
Well,
like, okay, never mind.
right.
And I thought about getting a certification at the what is it, the London Dramatic
Oh,
Arts
wow.
School, and I auditioned there.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why don't you just go to Juilliard? And I was like, well, I was really shy back then, and I really didn't. I think I did well in my singing portion,
Hmm.
and because they moved me from one like section to another, and I kept
Hmm.
moving forward in the singing audition part of it, but I was really shy, and I just wasn't really able to communicate, I think, to
Hmm.
the people who I was interviewing with, as to why they should choose me.
Wow.
But yeah, anyway, so I did a lot of different. I did a lot of different things, and I think because of all of those experiences, I met James
Hmm.
when I was stage managing,
Oh,
and I
wow.
was working professionally as a stage manager,
Hmm.
um, and he heard me sing once and was like, "Wait a minute." Because I was like I was assistant stage managing and covering the role of Frasquita.
Right.
Because Wichita Grand Opera, so that was another thing. After I finished grad school, I auditioned for Wichita Grand Opera's Young Artist Program,
Very
and they were
nice.
like, "Come, Kathryn, sit down, sit down." And I went and sat down, and they said to me, "Well, we would really, you know." We really think you're a great singer, but we need a really great stage manager, and we think you're a great stage manager. And I was like, okay, well, I'll make a deal with you. If you let me or if you want me to stage manage, if you'll let me be in the Young Artist program and sing in at least one of the shows and cover roles, you got a deal. And they
I,
said yes.
I love that. It's the art of negotiation. You have something we want, and there's something I want from you. That's
Yes.
awesome. That was a great little, yeah,
It
good
was a great
for
deal.
you.
So,
Yeah.
so James was directing one of the shows, and I was covering one of the roles and assistant stage managing.
Wow.
And the girl singing the role got sick, and I had to jump in, and it was like a run of the whole show, and I had to jump in and
Wow.
sing it. And he was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on right now?"
Right. I'm sure he was like, I'm sure he was like the moment that your teacher found out you played the flute. I'm sure it was just like, wait, what?
It was
You're
his
this.
aha moment.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my goodness. Okay, so wow, I love hearing this. This is really awesome. Um, is there and I've had the pleasure of seeing you perform a few times so far, and I just watched Amelia Lost, which I really want to be on a DVD somewhere so that people can buy it or whatever. But it is what I loved about it was it was I don't know how I can't after watching that performance, I can't picture you being shy.
That
That's a
makes sense.
very like that's a one woman show out there really selling all of this for everybody for a long period of time. And that's not a shy girl anymore.
No, there was like, it's really weird. I've changed a lot since we moved to Knoxville in
Hmm.
2011. It's been because I started, I really wanted, I stopped stage managing as much. I was like, okay, we're in one location.
Hmm.
Like, we don't have to, it was easy to stage manage because James could get me jobs and we could travel together, and that was
Yeah,
really
sure.
nice. Um, and we did that for like a year on the road.
Hmm.
But once we got here, I was like, I really want to sing. So I
Yeah.
started auditioning, and within like the first 2 months that we were in Knoxville, I had gotten an offer from Opera Carolina to be a part of their resident artist program
Oh,
and to
wow.
do their touring show, which I was like super excited about. I really
Hmm.
loved doing. Um, but it just started me on this journey that I like really wanted to sing.
Hmm.
I was a little bit older because it took me longer to graduate,
Hmm.
and opera has like a lot of age restrictions.
Oh, it does. I
Um,
did not know that.
Lots of age restrictions. The Met competition, for example, you have to be 30 or younger
Oh, wow.
to compete.
Wow.
And that year, I had a really great consultation with an agent, but I was 29.
Mm.
And he said to me, like you could go, like you should go audition for the Met. He's like, you have a good chance. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, like, and my birth date was a month too late.
Oh, oh no.
I never even got to compete, but
Ah,
I know.
wow.
So, and like the big young artist program, same thing. A lot of the age limit is 30.
Hmm.
So I started thinking like, well, I'm gonna have to, if I want to do this, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make
Hmm.
it happen on my own. So I was looking at programs that didn't have age limits,
Hmm.
but I really wanted to sing more, and so that's kind of how Marble City Opera
Hmm.
came into being. Is that I was like, I really want to be performing more, and I had performed Manotti's The Telephone on my
Hmm.
graduate recital because same kind of thing. I was in grad school. I was like, I want to do more than just sing songs. I want to do an
Right.
opera. So they let me do a 25-minute opera on my recital.
That's awesome. And
And
I
so
have to say, if I when I send people to your Facebook page, I want them to peep the pictures of the telephone. If you don't think that this is an intriguing concept after you see these pictures, I then I can't help you. I'm because you're looking at it going, how does this work? I want to see this in action, actually. So, yeah, no, it sounds like a very fun opera.
yeah, there's two that I've done that are like basically on the telephone. One of them is the telephone, and it's a comedy, and the
Okay.
other one is the human voice, which she's on the phone the whole time.
Ah,
That one's really more of a tragedy, but they're both great pieces. and
yeah.
and I was like, well, maybe I remember walking through the mountains. We were like taking a vacation in the Smokies, and I was just like, I really want to be performing more. Maybe I'll just like put together a production of the telephone, and just like, even if I have to just do it in a recital hall or something. And then Kevin Doherty, do you know Kevin at all?
I don't.
He um, he was a student here at the time and
Mhm.
had just graduated, and we had done a young artist program together, singing Don Giovanni. And he was Don Giovanni, and I was Donna Anna. And um, after that summer, he was like, "I want to do something," and I was like, "I want to do something." And so we just like randomly decided we were going to put on a show,
Yeah.
and we came up with The Face on the Barroom Floor. And we were like, okay, well, we need a tenor. So we're kind of like looking to see what tenor friends we might be able to, you know,
Rope into this.
rope into it. Exactly. And then I was trying to figure out where we were going to perform this. And on the audition page for opera, there came up a post for Atlanta Fringe Festival.
Hmm. Oh,
And they were
yes.
taking submissions, and I was like, "Oh, this looks really, really cool," because we could submit, but they wanted a company name, and so we made up Marble City Opera and
Very
wrote it
nice.
down, sent in the form, sent it off, and they were like, "Yes." you're going to perform.
Yes,
And
of
then
course.
I remember calling Kevin and going, I think we accidentally started an opera company.
Yes, you did. And you know what? It doesn't matter how that accidentally happened. It was meant to be.
It was one of those doors that just flew
Yes.
wide open, and I fought it for a couple of months. I was like, ah, no, because if I'm that, then people won't see me as a
Right.
singer. And, there's this whole like
I understand.
drama. But
Yeah.
I just, in the end, Alan Sherrod, who writes for Arts Knoxville now, he had found out about our production and was like really excited about it, and then asked us what we were going to do next. And I don't know. I think that's when my shyness left, to be honest, because we met him in the Relix. Well, no, it's the coffee shop downtown, Remedy. It used to be
Yeah.
Remedy.
Mhm.
And we met in the back room, and he was going to interview us about what we had coming up next. This was after the Fair Salon Floor. And he turned, and I was really nervous. I'd never really done any interviewing before.
Uh-huh.
And he turned on the recorder, and it was like my audience was there. And
Gotcha.
all of a sudden, I was like, I know exactly what we're doing. And it was like, I left going, how did that
Yeah.
happen?
But you know what though? It's knowing when those little moments click where you realize who you really are. You know what I mean? Like this is your opportunity to really show the world what you are capable of, and you can forge your own path with this. Like you don't have to be pigeonholed into a stage manager or a producer or a opera director. You are a singer, you are an artist as well. You create your own landscape, you paint your own direction at this point. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the way most women need to consider their lives, as trailblazers out there, just doing it their way. And I'm glad that you found your voice in every way.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, because honestly, this town would be a lot more boring without you, for sure. And and one of the things that I think I admire most about you is your choice of your organic staging of a lot of your productions, which I think is amazing because you think outside of the box and how to stage something in places that maybe people didn't expect to see opera. Like my first big experience was the what was the pint size opera,
Yeah.
which you could go have a pint of beer at a brewery and hear opera, and I was like, how is this is a thing, and it was amazing. It's just a place you didn't expect. But beyond that, your productions of actual operas have been in mansions, have been in train depots, have been in all different places, and I love that. I think that that's it for those people who think I have to have pearls and a proper gown to go to the opera, and I don't have those things, so I don't go. Is no, that's just there's more to it than that.
Yeah, I really wanted it to be for everyone.
Hmm.
There was this idea going around in the industry at that time that opera was dying, and I'm like, opera's not dying, and if it is, it's just because people don't know that they love it. You
Right.
know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, if you're not exposed to it, you don't know that you love it. And the
yeah,
thing is if you're only provided a certain element of it, like if you only know one opera singer's name, you grew up and all I knew was okay, I knew Pavarotti. All right. Who didn't know who he was?
right.
Um, Placido Domingo. I knew who he was. Um, Unfortunately, they've got some issues going on, but whatever. But like, you grow up just hearing certain names and realizing, well, maybe that's not for me, but until somebody actually presents it in a way that it connects with you. And find that to be true of most art, where if you make it for basically know your audience and know the people you want to reach and then go for them, and they will find you.
Yeah.
They will absolutely find you. And 8 seasons later, here we are, talking. Is there anything professionally or personally that you look at now and think, I'm really proud of this achievement? And it can be a work in progress kind of thing. that you sit back and literally say, good one. I'm very proud of this.
For me, really, it is Marble City Opera.
Hmm.
It's the thing that I, just like on a day where I'm feeling like reminiscent of like what's happened in my life. I think because I never set out to actually start an opera company. It wasn't I never had the intention. I never wrote down on a vision board, I'm going to start an opera company.
Right.
It just did it, and it just kind of like this door opened and there was momentum, and
Mm,
there were two choices. It was like either go follow that momentum or be scared of it,
right.
and there was definitely fear there, and
Hmm.
there was definitely momentum, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go with the momentum.
Yep. Yep.
And I
And,
think that I look back and it really astonishes me that it's still here, that people not just in Knoxville but just in the industry like know who we are. Like we were in an Opera America email when we did our Pagliacci. Like we made in the news. It was Marble City Opera. I was like, oh my gosh, and like it still like takes my breath away at moments.
sure. And it
And
should,
yeah.
absolutely. But I mean, you found a way to do it in a time when so much of art has gone dark right now because of restrictions and COVID and all of this stuff. But you found a way to make it work. And it's that thinking outside the box that is, at the end of the day, going to save us all because we crave this. We crave what you guys have to present. We crave arts. It's and it's been a very hard time when you can't actually go out and see live physical breathing art because we're under limitations, but to make that happen was amazing.
Yeah, it was I think just necessary for all of us.
Amen. Well,
And
yeah, because you need that. We all need it. We all
we
need
all need
to.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
It's one thing to create and to like sing something for a camera, and
Hmm.
it's different to like be in the room with other artists and to
Hmm.
like see how what you've been working on can evolve,
Hmm.
and just like move people and bring them a sense of happiness, or
Hmm.
I just it's really important to be for us, at Marvel City Opera, to present something that's really authentic
Hmm.
and very just like personal
Hmm.
and relatable, and that's really what we're going for every single time that we get out on that stage. And for me, like we don't have fancy lights all the time or costumes or scenery. We really go into that space to try to help us tell the story. But
Hmm.
for me, it allows the responsibility to be on the artists, the singers, and the actors to really be there, be present, be
Hmm.
telling these stories. And I
Hmm.
think it's more important than all of the other stuff.
Yeah, no, and that's real artistry. I always say a person who can really tell a story with very few assists from even if you think about movies, CGI or a thing like that, who could be in this very organic space and actually really get everything across with very little assistance from props and everything else. That is where you realize this is truly masterful stuff you're watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. I mean, I that and I think that you do it beautifully, actually. And I want you to keep doing it. And I want you to keep growing too as an artist because that feeds what you give to other artists. You know what I mean? Both of those, it's a reciprocal relationship.
Yeah.
You have to be fed yourself, and then you can give to others as well. And it's a beautiful sort of symbiotic relationship, for
Yeah,
lack of a better
I
word.
love how you said that. I think that's really
Yeah.
beautiful because, yeah, there's some people who don't know me, don't always like that I sing in some of our shows, but it's how you said it is so beautiful, and
You've
it's
got to
so
feed
true.
the own
It's
you've got to
like,
feed your own well. If your well runs dry, you have nothing to feed others with at this point.
Yeah,
So,
it's really beautiful, and that's definitely how I feel, but I never put
mhm.
into words in that way. So thank you
Oh,
for saying
you're
that.
welcome. Feel free to take it with you wherever you go. Um, so, out of curiosity, now that I know like your journey
My whole
from
life story.
flute to singing to all to Northwestern to oh my goodness. If you could go back in time and give your younger self, a little bit of advice, what would that be? And the reason I ask this question of every interview is because sometimes it's stuff we need to hear even today. And someone who is watching this might need to hear it as well. So, what advice would you give you?
I wrote down a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think the first thing I would tell myself, there's like several things. There's like I want to hug myself first. Like I just want to like one of the things I want to tell myself is just like like hang in there. Like this is not your worst day. It feels like your worst day. You have another worst day coming, and that one's not gonna still be your worst, and it's gonna
Right,
be okay, and you're gonna get through it. Like
right.
there's a part of me that just wants to like give myself a hug and say it's okay. You
Yeah.
can do this. Um, but also I would definitely tell myself to save my money and not to spend it. I think one of my vices has always been, in an emotional shopper.
Yeah, I get that.
So
Yeah.
it's an expensive industry to go into, and
Mm-hmm.
like money creates freedom, both just
Right.
emotionally and financially, and it gives you make different choices. I think especially as a woman, like
Mm-hmm.
if you can like have financial freedom, like it
Mm-hmm.
can just give you so much space to do whatever it
You're
is you want
you're
independently.
absolutely right, and that's something that I don't think we ever learn really growing up. We hear about bills from our parents. We may hear about financial stressors and things along those lines that aren't obvious at times, or sometimes they're very upfront about it. But we don't ever think about the bigger picture of how it
Yeah.
impacts your life until you're out there realizing it. And then you start to make changes, of
Yeah.
how you do it. Okay. Anything else you would tell yourself?
Let me see. Um, oh, the norm is not for everyone.
Amen.
And it's okay if you
Yes.
don't do it the normal way.
Right. A hundred
Okay.
percent.
It's probably better that you don't do it the normal way.
Actually, to be honest, think about it. Everyone who did it the quote unquote normal way, where are they? It's the people who step outside of that, or, outside the box, color outside the lines that people hear about. And do it the right way. Just don't do it like, the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's some people who step outside the lines and are famous for reasons we don't even want them to be famous for, but you're like, all right, well, there's that. But okay, I like that. Yes, don't, please tell her, don't do it the normal. Yeah, absolutely. So, is there anything else that you would tell her?
I think that's basically what I had. Yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready for some quick fire closer questions for today?
I am. No, this one I need my cheat sheet for.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. It's funny. It's like I've tried this myself and I had great ideas, and then when I went into the interview and just did it from memory, I didn't remember anything I said, so I came up with less great ideas. It was still fun, but what I love about this is it says a lot without saying a lot,
Yeah.
and it's a very fun thing. So I'm going to ask you, um, is it bouillon de culture? Is
I'm
that
sorry.
is the name of the French series? It looks like, okay, I'm going to say it from the Pennsylvania girl. It's
Oh,
bouillon de culture. It's
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's very close. Yeah, bouillon, de culture. You just
de
like say it
culture.
like, yeah, yeah. You just like
The
have an
fancy
accent.
way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that was where this originally started with Bernard de Pivot, and then everybody knows it from James Lipton's Inside the Actors Studio, because that's where it became a thing, at least in American culture, probably.
Yeah.
So 10 questions, quick fire. You just say what comes to mind, and I try not to overcomplicate it. And I am an overcomplicator, so I will try my best not to do that. Number one is, what is your favorite word?
Dreamer.
Oh, good word. What's your least favorite word?
Pivot.
Pivot.
I know
Okay,
this word.
interesting. Can I ask why?
I'm tired of
Pivot.
hearing, I mean, pivot, you know? I don't know, just
It sounds like a
something.
very like corporate word.
Yeah, so it's exactly. It's like very corporate, you know?
It's like
Can't.
synergy. Pivot. Synergy. Like you would
This
hear
feels like
that.
a demand, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
For me, it's the outdoors. I
Hmm.
think like I love the water. Um, the ocean
Mm-hmm.
is that's my jam.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. What turns you off?
Hypocrites and
Yeah.
also brashness is really hard for me.
Yes, I would agree with both of those. Those are both really, really difficult to stomach things, and we occasionally see them frequently these days.
Yeah, so yeah, stress.
My favorite question is, what is your favorite curse word?
Okay, so um I this is like in reference to the good place.
Yes.
But I really recently I've been saying fork.
Yes, because I can't say the other word at the good place. I
And also,
know.
I also like shirt. Sometimes I say shirt now too.
Shirt and fork. I get it. Those are
Yeah.
great because you can actually get away with it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I love it all. Yeah, the good place is excellent. We'll
I love
discuss
that
that
shirt.
another day too.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of an orchestra, like
Mm,
a full orchestra, especially like when the symphony is playing or something. It just, but also the ocean. I love the
hmm.
sound of the ocean.
Both wonderful. What sound or noise do you hate?
Okay, so now this is really weird because all little sounds like drive me crazy, and I actually have this like little like chewing on food that's or just like
I know a lot of people who are like the chewing on food drives people crazy.
but actually there's a term for it and I didn't know it until much later in life, but it's called misphonia, and
Really?
it like I definitely have suffered from this and I've like gotten better at dealing with it, but it
Hmm.
can be like really problematic for relationships
Hmm.
like
No,
because
yeah.
the little noises like actually create an emotional response.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
It's
like
like a tension buildup.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in a normal relationship, there's something obvious that you can counterbalance, like you can react to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, where they say something that ticks you off, and you respond by
Yeah.
having starting an argument or letting them know. This is something that's happening that that person maybe not be aware of. They don't know what's happening, and then you're sitting here thinking to yourself, how am I going to talk to them about the chewing situation? Because this is driving me bonkers,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
want to throttle them.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
real story.
Yeah. That's the real deal right there.
Yeah. And then you're like, and they're going to think I'm completely
I'm a
nutty because
horrible
I'm bringing it
person.
up. Right, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
That's just real. I get that. Well, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Recently, I've really decided that I would love to be a lawyer
Wowzers.
and like really, but like to defend people in need. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sort of like do you want to do like pro bono public like defender
definitely.
sort of?
Yes,
Yeah. I get it.
absolutely. That's what I want to do.
Nice. I
I want
love
to
it.
go in there and rescue people.
I dig that.
Yeah, rescue like people on death row for, that aren't supposed to be there. That's like, yeah.
Mhm. That's exciting stuff. What would you never want to do as a profession?
Okay, this was hard for me because I like to work a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand.
so I came up with I would not want to be working in a mine.
I don't think that would be fun. Yeah, I agree with that. Like Do you have
Bad for the
claustrophobia
lungs.
stuff or yeah, black lung? You've got black lung, claustrophobia,
Yeah.
you know, worrying that the bird's going to die. I get it. All of those
Yeah.
things are not good things to look for. You're like, you know,
That's my least favorite job, I think.
okay, I could see that. I could. And lastly, my dear, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you reach the pearly gates?
You did good.
Amen. And I will say you are doing phenomenally
Oh, thank you.
every step of the way. I want to thank you for taking time out today to meet with me to talk about the art of the artist and putting what you do out there and also creating it as well. Um, I want you to realize that people see what you do and admire what you do. And if I could ever say, "Good God, girl, keep going," I'm saying it now.
Thank you.
You are so welcome, my dear. Well, it has been a genuine pleasure talking to you today, and I will put links on the end of this video and I will also share them in the description. But thank you for joining me today, Miss Kathryn Frady.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me. It's been so much fun.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day, and I want to thank you all for tuning into Authentically You. Bye.
Bye.
You did fabulous. Yay.
Thank you.
You're a pro at this. You're a total pro.